Every investigation starts with a lens, a framework. Whether in science, history, or theology, we bring assumptions to the table before we even examine the evidence. So what kind of lens are we using when we look at the Genesis flood story? Modern scientific institutions almost always operate under what's called methodological naturalism. That means, even if something supernatural did happen, it cannot be considered as part of a scientific explanation. This doesn't mean the evidence disproves supernatural claims. It means those claims are simply not allowed in the room. But here's the problem. Naturalism isn't a neutral position. It assumes that only natural causes are real, or at least that only natural causes can be used to explain anything. That's a philosophy, not a discovery. It tells us what must be true before we've even looked at the data. This framework developed over time. It was useful for studying repeatable processes, chemistry, physics, biology. But when we apply the same rules to one-time unrepeatable events like a global flood, we run into problems. Historical science isn't the same as lab science. It relies on inference, interpretation, and assumptions, not just measurement. So when critics say science disproves the flood, they're often relying on a naturalistic lens that rules out supernatural events before even asking if the story fits the evidence. But what if we used a different framework, one that allows theological claims to be investigated on their own terms? That doesn't mean blind faith. It means acknowledging that if God exists, he's not barred from history. We're not asking science to believe in miracles. We're asking it to admit its own limits and to allow the evidence to speak, even if the conclusion points beyond nature. If the flood story is going to be tested, it should be tested fairly, not disqualified by the rules of the game. In the next episode, we'll look at the different ways Genesis is interpreted and why taking the story at face value may be the most coherent approach. But first, we have to ask, what lens are we using to see the truth?